Welcome back to reality after a long holiday. You're now back to school and you had less than a year to score the ATAR of your dreams. Yes, I know it's very stressful. I've been there, I've done that. I know exactly what you're feeling right now, but you shouldn't worry. Why? Because I am here to help you, to guide you along every step of the way. Because in 2022, even with the stress that I faced, I ended up scoring an ATAR of above 97 and got a band 6 in every one of my subjects. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you my top advice to remember so that you can smash Year 12 and achieve that ATAR that you want. Now, I suggest you watching this video from the start to end with paper, writing my points down, because these pieces of advice and tips are absolutely crucial. And if you remember these all throughout the year, you'll get closer to your success and achieve what you want. So buckle up, stay focused, because we are about to turn your academic journey into a success story. Tip number 1, don't let your past dictate your future. In the previous years or term, you may have not performed as well as you'd like. Maybe you failed an exam, you didn't score as high as you wanted to. Whatever the case is, do not let this burden you and dictate your future. Because if you let this event or events dictate your future for you, and if you let it burden you, then you're not gonna be able to improve and grow and get better. Understand that whatever's happened in the past will not translate into the future if you do something about it. If you don't do anything about the past, then of course it's gonna translate into the future. But if you fix your past and the mistakes that you made, then you can form a better future. So what do I mean by this? If you didn't perform so well in the past, I want you to ask yourself why. Because no matter what happened, it happened for a good reason. If it was an assignment, did you start way too late? If it was an exam, did you procrastinate too much? Did you study ineffectively? There is always a reason. Never, ever, ever have I seen in both my personal experience and from other students that it just happened because, it's something outside of their control. Usually 99.9% of the time, it's actually within your control, and anything that happened was because you did something wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. Figure out what you did wrong and then form solutions to fix that for this year so that you don't make it again. Don't ever say that your intellect was the reason you performed well, because the truth is, it's actually nothing got to do with intellect. More to do with what you did, how you studied, your habits. This is what's important, not your intellect. Tip number 2. Start early. Don't start studying for your exams when you get the exam notification, which is typically around 2 weeks before the actual exam date. Start studying way earlier than that. A month, 2 months. Your school should have given you an exam calendar that roughly tells you when each exam or assignment is due. So for example, in week 6, you have a topic test for maths. In week 5, you have a topic test for biology, and etc. If you haven't been given this, I'd advise you to go to your school and ask them. They must give it to you. All schools should be giving it to you. And when you get this calendar, schedule all your assessments and when they're due, and start studying for them earlier. Don't wait until you get the notification, because 2 weeks is not enough to score that high mark. The same goes with assignments. When you get your assignment, immediately plan what you're going to be doing to finish this assignment. So for example, on this day, I'm gonna do this section. On this day, I'm gonna do this section. And always set a deadline earlier than the given deadline. Try to always be the one who finishes their assignments 2 days before the actual date. Because when you do this, you have the luxury of reading over your assignment many times, getting feedback, and really perfecting it so that you can increase your chances of scoring 100%, which should always be your aim. By starting earlier in both your studies and preparing for your assignments, you will see that your grades skyrocket because you have the luxury of time. Time to fix your mistakes, learn more, do more, rest. You can't do this stuff when you're cramming. Tip number 3, do practice questions. Practice questions are absolutely imperative for Year 12 success. See, what the majority of Year 12 students will do is that they learn a topic, cool, and then they never do anything about it. They don't do any practice questions. And that's why by the time they get to an exam and they start doing questions, 2 weeks before it, they never end up doing well because they haven't given themselves a chance to actually get better through doing practice questions, and instead have tricked themselves into thinking they know the content just because, on that one day they understood it. Don't be like these students. As soon as you have learned a topic, immediately do practice questions after you've learned it, so that you can identify what you do and don't know, and so that you can consolidate your knowledge and increase your knowledge and just get better. Incorporate a system of doing practice questions frequently after learning a topic, so that you can figure out what you do and don't know, fix your mistakes, and I can absolutely guarantee you, if you create a system where you regularly do practice questions for the topics that you've previously learned, I can guarantee you by the time you get to an exam, it will be like nothing, because you've already done the hard work. Don't forget your practice questions. Do practice questions after you've learned each topic and each module, and you'll be on your way in getting 90 and above % in your exams. Tip number 4, free periods. So some students may have free periods and some don't. It really depends on how many subjects you've chosen this year. But if you do have free periods, I'd advise you to use them productively. Don't waste them, because they can be very valuable. When I was in year 12, I used to use my free periods for really 3 main scenarios. Number 1 was doing the homework that I didn't want to do at home. So me, I don't include homework in my study sessions. So when I say I'm gonna study for 3 hours, homework is not included in that. So what I used to do is, I used to do all the homework that I didn't want to do at home in my free periods, so when I got home, I could just study my subjects. The second case when I use my free periods would be working on my assignments. So let's say I have an assignment due. During my free periods, I'd work towards my assignment, even if it's just a little bit, so that I can consistently work on it each day and I can finish it earlier than everyone else. And finally, the last case that I'd use my free periods is just to have a rest. Now use this last one carefully. Some people might say just to have a rest, and they use every free period like that. I didn't use every free period like this. It was only when I was exhausted and I was going to study really hard that day and really focused in the afternoon that day, that's when I would productively rest during my free periods. But it was mainly either doing homework or working on assignments. 5, friends. Year 12 goes by really fast, and during this time you may have a lot of friends telling you to go out and hang out with them. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be very careful. You don't want to fall in the trap of hanging out with your friends every single weekend, every second day, because as I just said, year 12 goes fast, and before you know it, you would have hung out with your friends more than you have studied. There's nothing wrong with hanging out with your friends, but just be sure to prioritize your studies over your friends, especially when you have exams upcoming. So let's say, for example, that you plan on going out with your friends on the weekend, right? There's nothing wrong with that. What I want you to do is tell yourself, and really stick by this, that I can only go out with my friends if I finish X amount of tasks or X amount of hours of study. This is what I did. When I, for example, was gonna go out with my friends on the weekend, I'd wake up super early, study hard, and finish all the tasks I needed to do, so that when I did go out with my friends, I had no guilt. I would happily go out because I've done what I need to do for that day. But don't ever say that I'm gonna go out with my friends and then do something after, because 90% of the time, that's not gonna happen. And another scenario is that your friends ask you to go out when you have an exam in a week or 2 weeks. What I'd advise you to do is tell them, guys, we have an exam in 2 weeks or a week, and we should really try to do well in this exam. And just tell that to them straight, okay? You're not gonna die, your friends aren't gonna eat you. Just say it to them, and trust me, it will feel so much better going out with your friend after an exam as opposed to before an exam. 6, hobbies. I'd suggest you to take up a hobby during year 12, because although you should be super focused, although you shouldn't be wasting time, and although you should be prioritizing your studies, you need some sort of enjoyment and rest, because we're not robots, unfortunately. I had many different hobbies during year 12, including reading, watching Netflix, if that's a hobby, sports, and also in some rare occasions, playing video games. And these hobbies allow me to stay sane, and also they actually made me more productive because they gave me that rest and enjoyment period that I needed so that when I did study, I was super focused and super productive. Hobbies vary between each individual. Obviously, you're gonna have different hobbies from other people, but whatever it is, take that up and do it guilt-free. But as with friends, tell yourself that you can only participate in that hobby after you finish your study. As the saying goes, work hard, play hard. What does this mean? Work hard means during your study, study hard, study focused, be committed. And then play hard is when you're not studying and you're resting, don't feel guilty. Rest hard. Don't think about your studies. Just focus on your enjoyment activity. Now, this is very, very hard. I found this very difficult, but it might not be difficult for you, but force yourself to be like this. Thank you so much for watching. And if you found this video helpful, then please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so that you can see my videos in the future. I have so many planned, and the videos that I'm going to release in the future are really going to help you out. And I wish I had these videos back when I was in year 12. If you're losing motivation or you want to ensure that you stay motivated all throughout year 12, then be sure to check out this video, which goes through my step-by-step process of how I stayed motivated pretty much on an unlimited scale. See you in the next one.